Hello students, welcome to Legacy Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the India's plan to launch its first mission to the Venus, that is the second planet after Mercury if you count from the Sun, and this mission is expected to be launched in year 2028. So, what is the significance of the mission, what is the aims and objective, and how it will be helpful to study Venus? Let us try to understand this in more detail. So, first of all, to give you the background of this particular issue, recently the Union Cabinet of India has given or granted the approval to India's first mission that ISRO has plans to launch in the month of March 2028. Now, this is the country's second interplanetary mission. Before that, India has sent MOM, that is the Mars Orbiter Mission or Mangalyaan as we can call it. It was launched in 2013 at a fraction of the price at which other countries such as US have sent their Mars mission. Now, we talk about the Venus mission, it is mainly meant to study the planet Venus from an orbit around it. That means, the mission is not expected to land a rover on the planet of Mars or the surface of Mars. Rather, it has to orbit around the Venus, and then it has to study the Venus. Now, the major features of Venus that the mission is expected to study is about the surface and subsurface of Venus. It will try to examine the atmosphere, atmospheric gases and the composition of the gases composition around the Venus. The ionosphere refers to that region of a planet in its atmosphere where the gases are present in the form of ions due to the high energy contained in that layer and its interaction with the sun. So, these are going to be the broad or major areas of research. Now, if you look at the importance of studying Venus, so first of all, if you talk about the planet Venus itself, it is many times referred as the twin of the Earth. So, it is because in the similarity that it has with mass, density as well as even the size of the Earth. Now, the studying Venus may offer scientists clues about the evolution of Earth as well. And notably, if we talk about the Venus is thought to have had water at some point of time in its history, but later on it is believed that it evaporated due to high temperature due to its nearness to the sun. Now, the planet however differs from Earth also in significant ways. So, let us try to understand the contrasting characteristic that is present between the Earth and Venus. Now, we know that Earth's average surface temperature is around 15 degrees Celsius. However, at the same time, if you look at the Venus, it has extremely high surface temperature that rises to almost 462 degrees Celsius. Now, it is even hotter than Mercury, which is the nearest planet to the Sun. And scientists believe that this is because of the runaway greenhouse effect, where you have large amount of greenhouse gases trapped around the Venus's atmosphere, which then traps the outgoing radiation that is released by the Venus, and as the outgoing radiation is not being able to lost in the outer space, the energy contained increases and the temperature of the surface also increases. Second is the atmospheric pressure of the Venus is also very high, and actually it is much higher as compared to what we face on the Earth. And to understand and compare it, we can look at the data where the pressure or atmospheric pressure of the Venus planet is almost same as what we feel underneath the oceans of the Earth. So, that is the second contrasting difference. Third difference is obviously in the terms of the atmospheric composition. Now, we know that around the Earth we have the highest concentration of gases such as nitrogen, oxygen, argon and carbon dioxide. On the other hand, in the Venus, 96% of its atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide alone, and then there are sulfuric acid clouds that is made up of sulfur based gases. So, that is the third difference that we can classify. And last difference is if you look at and compare the rotation speed of Earth and Venus. While Earth completes one rotation on its axis in 24 hours, and the Venus on the other hand rotates very slow on its axis, and if you compare the 1 day of Venus, that is one rotation of Venus, it lasts around 243 Earth days. So, these are the four contrasting characteristic and features that we can identify of Venus vis-a-vis Earth. Now, let us try to understand about the mission. Now, especially the timing of this mission is going to be very crucial, because when you talk about the Earth and Venus coming closer to each other, it offers a very shortest window of only 19 months, and that is why any mission to the Venus should be completed within the 19 months time period. Now, initially the mission was expected to be launched in 2023 itself, but it was delayed and now the permission has been granted, approval is granted for year 2028. Now, the mission will carry scientific payloads that will weigh around 100 kg, and if we talk about the plan, it has a similar plan as India has sent its space exploration mission before, where satellite will first of all gain speed when it is orbiting around the earth, then it will be slingshot, that means it will be sent in a slingshot like manner toward the planet Venus, and then once it is sent toward the Venus, it will get captured in the territory of captured in the orbit of the Venus due to its gravitational effect. Now, once the satellite exits the earth orbit, it will take around 140 days for it to enter the Venus orbit, and this is something that is represented simply on this diagram. First, the mission will keep on orbiting around the earth, then in a slingshot manner it is sent, and then it is captured by the Venus and it will keep on revolving around it. The mission will also see India perform Aerob Breaking for the first time in its space mission history. So, let us try to understand this term Aerob Breaking in more detail. Now, Aerob Breaking in simplest term refer to bringing down or pushing down the satellite and pushing it down to such extent that it basically loses its orbital height. Thus, the reason is because the fuel consideration we have to keep in mind, and that is why the satellites will be brought down with the help of Aerob Breaking. In the event or phase of Aerob Breaking, the satellite will be pushed down to around 140 kilometers several times when it is at the point in the elliptical orbit where it is closest to the Venus, and thus it will, once it is sent back or sent down to around 140 kilometers several times, it will try to skim across the atmosphere of the Venus, as we can see from here. And while skimming through the Venus's atmosphere, a drag will be experienced by the satellite, and this drag will slow down the velocity of the satellite. As the velocity of the satellites decreases, obviously it will lose the orbit and it will cause it to lower in the height itself. Now, this entire process is what we call as Aerob Breaking, where the brake is being applied on the satellites due to the frictional force created by the Venus's atmosphere in this case. Now, the problem here is to find out the exact height and distance where the Aerob Breaking need to be initiated, because if the satellite plunges too deep, it may face extreme friction. This extreme friction can cause burn up and destruction of the satellite. On the other hand, if it is too shallow in the atmosphere, it may take a very long time for the satellite to reach the desired orbit. That is why fixing the exact place from where Aerob Breaking has to be started is going to be a crucial task for the scientists involved in the mission. Now, if you look at the scientific payloads that has been decided to be put on this mission, so till 2019 itself, 17 Indian experiments and 7 international ones were selected for the mission. The major satellites or payload, if we try to understand about here, it will consist in L and S band SAR. SAR spatial refers to the synthetic aperture radar, and this radar will be helpful in capturing the surface image of the Venus. Second, it will have thermal cameras. Third, it will have experiments to study the flow of interplanetary dust particles as it flows and as the satellite moves toward the Venus. Second, it will be having an experiment to study the high energy particles entering the Venusian atmosphere leading to ionization, and another payload will study the composition, structure, variability and thermal state of the Venus's atmosphere. And these are the major areas where the research and the observation is going to be committed here. Now, this is obviously not the first time when a country is trying to send a space mission to Venus. Before that also several missions has been flown by the countries such as US, the erstwhile Union of Soviet Socialist Republic or Soviet Union, Japan, and collaborative mission of the ESA, that is the European Space Agency, with Japan. However, if we talk about the future, apart from India's slated mission in 2028, US already has planned at least 2 more missions to the Venus. One, Da Vinci, which will be flown to Venus in year 2029. The second is Veritas, which is expected to be sent in year 2031. And then if we talk about the European Space Agency, it also has planned a mission by the name of Envision, which will be sent to the Venus in the year 2030. So, overall 3 missions of different countries and 1 of India is going to explore Venus in the next 7 years of time period. So, that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood overall the project Venus, what mission Shukrayaan we can say is, and what is the significance of this. Thank you very much.